Hello and welcome back to another episode of KSP Real Solar System Campaign. Today we'll progress further on our quest for a manned moon landing. The launch you can see in the background now is a part of that. It is one of two manned launches to low Earth orbits that together will complete our first docking in space. That will just be playing in the background, however, as I explain the main purpose of this mission. To successfully land and return a kerbal on the moon, we need a better and more advanced parts and technology. There is still some science we can collect in the Earth-Moon system, but the really big scientific prizes lie in interplanetary exploration. For our first interplanetary mission, we have two choices: sending an unmanned probe to either Venus or Mars. They are both about the same difficulty. We are, however, going to Venus. The reason is the current planetary alignment. As you can see on the phase angle panel at the bottom right of the screen, Venus is around 302 degrees in the phase angle. If you run the numbers, you'll find that the optimal alignment for a Hoffman transfer orbit to Venus is about 306 degrees. That is, Venus has to be, 54 degrees behind us in its orbit. Mars, on the other hand, would have to be about, 45 degrees ahead of us. So, in other words, we are right in the middle of a Venus launch window, while the Mars launch window is still quite some time away. As for the docking and rendezvous mission you can see in the background, it is a little bit more tricky than I had anticipated. I've done so many rendezvous and dockings in vanilla KSP. But doing it in real solar system with the Realism Overhaul is something completely different. I think it's so much harder. Not just the Delta V requirements, but also the realism of the engines and the occasional bugs and stuff like that. So I did have quite a struggle in going for this docking mission. But I eventually managed to dock those two identical manned spacecrafts, and it is an important part of training for the manned lunar missions that will come in the future. As for the design of a rocket that will be capable of traveling to Venus, we have to build a spacecraft that are able to not just do a flyby Venus, but also go into orbit around Venus. That means increased delta V requirements. The probe itself will have a delta V of about 4 kilometers per second, giving it a lot of room for maneuvering and mistakes. 4 kilometers per second might be quite a bit of overkill, but I haven't really looked at how much delta V you need to go into Venus orbit while entering from interplanetary space. So it's just a lot of fuel that we'll have in case mistakes are made or something bad happens. The probe will be launched with a 3-stage booster, which is pretty standard by now. 1 stage running on Kerolux engines, 2 stages running on liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, with the final space probe having a engine that uses hypergolic fuels, which means they instantly combust. The fuels instantly combust when they come into contact. It is a pressure-fed, the usual Asterisk engine that I use so much, which is so nice for long duration interplanetary missions as well as moon missions and so on. The first and second stage will take the spacecraft into a parking orbit around Earth. Then the third stage will bring us up to Earth's escape velocity. Hopefully, at least. And then the fuel on the probe will be used for course correction burns and the orbital insertion. And, well, I guess that falls under course correction burns as well, but I think we need to adjust for the angle of the Venus orbit. I mean, there are I don't think Venus is in the exact same plane as Earth, but we'll be able to correct for that with the amount of delta V we have. And we are ready to launch our first interplanetary mission. And this, I think, is going to be our most exciting mission so far. So just going to go for engine start. And release the clamps. And we have liftoff on the most heavy rocket we've launched so far. A delta V of a whopping 16.7 kilometers per second. This entire rocket weighs over 500 tons, so Venus is standing at 304.50 degrees, which is, I mean, our ideal launch would be at 306 roughly, according to my calculations. So we're a bit early in the launch window, but that is not going to be a problem. So we're going to immediately launch the second stage, which is going to burn for 1 minute and 49 seconds. So fire the ullage thrusters, then the engines. And the engines on the second stage again are burning liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, and I have 3 of these engines. In my previous launches, I typically, when I use this engine for a second stage engine, I had 1 of them, but this was so heavy that I had to use 3 of them. And these engines are quite powerful. They have a pretty good thrust. They only have 1 ignition though, which is certainly a drawback, because I think the second stage has quite a bit of excess delta V. And it would have been nice to use some of that for launch into interplanetary space, but that's not going to happen. So we have a lot of fuel left in the tank, but we have to cut the engine. Well, we're going to cut it there. See, 1 kilometers per second of delta V left in the second stage. And I really wish I could have used some of that. I'm going to ignite a third stage engine. And it's just going to burn for a little bit, so we can circle on, well, not, we'll just lift our periapps up to a reasonable level, maybe 250 kilometers, let's say. Cut there. Now, let's see if we can't place a maneuver node that will take us to Venus. So we're gonna have to burn somewhere on the light side of the Earth. So this is going to be hopefully a nice Hoffman transfer orbit, which is what my calculations of 54, well, Venus has to be 54 degrees behind us in its orbit, approximately. It's a little more than that at the moment. Well, we do get some closest approach indicators at least. That's a good sign. So we're going to try to move this a bit. No, there we go. We got an encounter pretty early on there. Now let's see if what is the closest approach you can get to Venus. This takes some fiddling around with. Okay, so I had a pretty good encounter, and then I messed it up because I tried to improve it, and now I can't get back that good encounter. So yeah, the best I can do again is 392 million kilometers, which is quite a long distance away, but we can make course corrections. And you can see we're passing under here, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to launch and go with this. We're going to burn out this entire stage and then burn some of the fuel in the last stage as well. The node is going to approach in 44 minutes, so we're going to warp ahead. We can see the fuel, the hydrogen is... Yeah, I'm rapidly losing my delta V because the hydrogen in this tank is boiling off. As you can see, it's... Ooh, this might jeopardize the entire mission, but we're going to go for launch now. So we need to point us in the right direction. Point us at the maneuver node. We have started our burn. So this is going to take a while, because this engine does have pretty low thrust. But yeah, I'm afraid that all the loss of delta V we endured during this mission has completely jeopardized our goal of going into orbit around Venus. We are going to try though, but we have to use so much of the fuel in this last stage here. So that is... I'm going to cut the maneuver node now and eyeball the rest of this. You can see the periaps around the sun is getting lower, and we're going to cut as soon as we get a Venus encounter, and then we're going to make some minor adjustments to our orbit. Let's see. Cut! Oh, there you go. Now just mess around a bit with the RCS to get the closest encounter we can get in. We're going to do some, not going to get very close at the moment, I think. Yeah. We are headed off into interplanetary space now, and we're going to switch sphere of influence to the sun in any second now. There we go. Now we're going to do some maneuver planning again. So we can place a maneuver node here just to see. Now we burn in this direction. It looks like we're going to get a significantly closer than 7 meters per second of delta. Well, again, this is not looking good for our orbits around Venus, so not going to have a whole lot of delta V, I think. Well, I'm just guessing how much delta V I need to go into orbit. It could well be that this is enough. If we just, can we get a look at what is the periaps now? That is not the actual periaps. Do we get an impact? Yeah, we did. Huh. Okay. So 5.6 million. 4.4. Yeah, we're okay. That is good enough for reference. Now we just need to wait 54 days for the next maneuver node. Our first flyby of a different planet is about to be accomplished. How much delta V do we need to go into orbit? That is what I'm wondering about now. That is all I want to know. Please be less than... Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we have so much sex still. I don't know why I was so worried about this. Clearly having way more delta V than we actually need. I mean, we had 2.3 kilometers per second and we only need like 600 to go into orbit. Yeah, I'm terrible at guesstimating this, and we can see Venus from here. That is fantastic. I'm going to get some science from this now. Oh, nothing there. Telemetry, 18 science for the telemetry. That's a good start. Pressure data, 24. And perturbation, 20. Oh, we're raking in the science points there. And we are just in high space about Venus. Wait until we get into a low space low above Venus. That is going to be. So we are getting closer to Venus now. Unfortunately, my footage from the orbital insertion burn somehow got lost. We're in above the highlands. I think we got everything we needed from the highlands. And now we don't have connection. Okay, so just warp ahead. And still no connection. Take a look at the map. Yep, there is the Earth. So we definitely there. To go a bit further out. There we go. There we have a connection. Okay, so we're just going to go for an atmospheric pass through, I think. So I don't know where the atmosphere on Venus starts, so we're going to have to, let's try with 150 kilometers on our periaps. That is going to start retracting our solar panels right now, in case we do hit some atmosphere. I don't know for sure. And we just need to remember to actually extend them again, or otherwise we're going to run out of... well, we did hit the atmosphere. But we have no connection. Ah, of course. Well, that means we're going to have to... we're going to return to this probe sometime in the future and make sure we get that atmospheric science. And we're back from a hugely successful mission, and we gathered way more science on this mission than we've ever done before. I think we had a little under 100 science before we started, and now we have 554.9 science points. That is absolutely huge, and now we're really going to unlock a lot of new technology that is going to contribute to our future moon missions. So going to go for second-gen capsules, which will not give us any capsules, but some life support stuff. And we need some heavy orbital rocketry, which will unlock the F1 engine in particular, as well as the lunar module descent engine, and also the lunar module ascent engine, and the AJ-10 service propulsion system that we used on the Apollo service module. So that is a must. So this, well, no, that's not that interesting. And this is not too interesting either. But the Hydrolox engines. We get the J2 engine, which is an amazing engine, because it's a Hydrolox engine, but it has 3 ignitions, as you can see. I think we need that. That is a must. Now we don't get the mature capsules though, but that is fine, because the next mission we're going to do is not really going to be a manned mission, but we are going back to the moon, and maybe for a landing. But that will be it for this episode of KSP Real Solar System Campaign. We made some huge progress today, and I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you will enjoy future videos as well. So please take care and bye.